once before. A long time ago, the caretaker replied. I overheard two fifth-class inventors talking about it when they were meeting with the QCC, right before I was supposed to talk with them to begin my own duties. But I only heard the word, and immediately afterward they both left in a rush. The QCC seemed angry during that whole first meeting, but I had assumed it was because of me. I never heard the word again, until now. Renneman Ratchet stood. For good reason. He walked to a shelf on the wall behind him and picked up a small metal sphere from its surface. See anything unusual? He asked, turning it around gently in his armored grasp. Artaban shook his head. Suddenly, Renneman Ratchet tossed the sphere in the caretaker's direction. Instinctively, Artaban put out his gloved hand. As the sphere landed, it burst into a cloud of light brown metallic powder. Other than the slight whirring noise of Artaban's Mark II goggles as two blades automatically wiped the powder off the surface of the lenses, there was silence. Finally, Artaban broke the deadly quiet. This powder... Particles, Renneman Ratchet corrected him. Particles which are, quite obviously, a result of rust. Rust, Artaban thought. The worst enemy of anyone or anything on Caldon. But a massive effort in environmental control, widespread use of atmospheric cleaners, and pristine, artificially maintained conditions had wiped out the threat of rust from the planet countless cycles ago. Not totally wiped out, the regional coordinator said as he walked to Artaban's side, obviously guessing his thoughts. Mostly, but not totally. We've had occasional reports of something here and there sneaking in, but not in any mass-produced manufacturing process. Until recently. He pointed to the pile of brown particles on Artaban's glove. First, it was a 35A model cylinder wrench. Then a handle of quadrabolts. Then some 16-grade sprockets. All of them the same. Look fine on the outside. But apply any pressure to them, try to do anything with them at all beyond picking them up and putting them down, and... He leaned over and blew towards Artaban's hand, sending the rest of the particles into the air again. Useless. Completely useless. And impossible to detect with visual inspection. It's rusting from the inside out, which isn't possible either. This is the decay? Artaban finally managed to ask. No, this is rust, Renneman Ratchet said with a grim smile as he straightened up and returned to his side of the desk, where he sat down heavily in the chair. Normal, ordinary rust. But this can't happen, Artaban objected. Surely someone would have said something. There would be protocols put in place. To do what? Renneman Ratchet said. To try very, very hard not to let it happen again. He shook his head. It's impossible to get real data. The other regional coordinators aren't sharing, and other cities don't report this sort of thing, at least not publicly. But everything I can find suggests that this situation is getting worse, now much more quickly. Parts, machine elements, everything is being affected. And no one, even the few who know that it's going on, knows why or what to do about it. If it continues, and if we can't manufacture enough things to replace what's being lost, you understand what we're looking at. He leaned forward, eyes fixed on Artaban. Eventually, destruction. Complete, total destruction. That is the decay. What happens when everything within the First Maker's plan, all we have and all we are, rusts away into nothingness. He leaned back. Now you tell me, if you're the Council, do you tell everyone on Caldon about something you don't understand and cannot stop? Or do you continue with things as they've always been, hoping the decay will stop before you do? Artaban was silent for a long time, looking at the two Folden sweepers sitting placidly on the regional coordinator's desk. He was, after all, simply the fourth-level caretaker of the Quadrant Clock, not a member of the Council of Makers. For almost all the cycles of his life, he had been content to take his place in the First Maker's great plan. And now what was he to do? Suddenly there was a loud banging sound outside, and the regional coordinator's house shook as something impacted the ground nearby. Rust! Renneman Ratchet swore, springing from his chair as he slid his goggles down into his eyes. Come on, Artaban! The caretaker carefully picked up the two-Folden sweeper from the desk, reattached it to his shoulder, and followed. As Artaban emerged from the building and stood straight, with a slight sigh of relief as his joints clicked back to their normal position, he saw Renneman Ratchet staring up, and as he followed his gaze, he saw 4 guardians in the path outside the building. All 4 of the massive heads turned in his direction, the light from 8 red floral lamp eyes boring into him. Artaban Drivengear, 3rd Revision Caretaker of the 4th level of the Quadrant Clock. 4 voices boomed. 4 heads swiveled back. Renneman Ratchet, Meccano Fields Regional Coordinator. A pause, then. You are summoned to the Council of Makers. The regional coordinator cleared his throat and stepped forward. Why have we been summoned? He said, his voice mostly level. You are summoned to the Council of Makers, came the 4 replies in unison. Renamin and Ratchet sighed. I suppose asking for an explanation from the Guardians is a fool's errand, he said, glancing at Artaban. I imagine someone wants to know why I am overriding Gate Guardian protocols to allow a rogue caretaker to have an unauthorized conversation with me. And the Quadrant Clock Coordinator may want to know why I'm away from my post, Artaban replied. I'm sorry, Regional Coordinator. I may have put you in danger. Renamin Ratchet waved his hand impatiently. Ah, bah. No one forced you to... You are summoned to the Council of Makers. The 4 voices boomed insistently. The Regional Coordinator frowned. Acknowledged, he replied, and with a last glance at Artaban clambered onto his waiting Octobot. Artaban looked up at the implacable stares of the Guardians and inclined his head. As he stepped next to Renamin Ratchet, 2 of the Guardians strode behind them and stopped. Renamin Ratchet grinned. A full escort, Artaban. A great honor, don't you think? But caretakers are not fitted with humor modules, and so Artaban did not smile as the party moved off north toward the Quadrant Clock, and beyond it, the core. Artaban had only been to the core once, many cycles ago when he had first been commissioned and begun his duties. The ceremony had been characteristically short and efficient, but still memorable. His recitation of the Oath of Caretaking had been flawless, and he could still remember the Quadrant Clock Coordinator's expression, one of the few times it ever seemed pleased, as he stepped forward for official activation by a member of the Council of Makers. But that ceremony had taken place outside of the core itself, the surface of the massive copper-gold pyramid shining on the small group below. Now he was to be taken inside the core to meet with the Council, and as Artaban, Renamin Ratchet, and their 4 Guardian escorts drew close to the front gate of the pyramid, he recalled the rumors that no one entering the core at the Council's request had ever been known to leave it again. Caretakers were not equipped to feel fear exactly, but uncertainty, instability, even doubt were necessary components of a caretaker's personality, allowing the caretaker to go beyond the obvious in repairing a potential problem in the Quadrant Clock. Artaban felt all 3 of those things very strongly now. Still, for just a moment every other feeling fell away as he watched 2 of the Guardians knock 3 times in unison on the front gate, a deep booming noise echoing inside the building with each knock. But the noise did not stop after the 3rd time. It intensified into a deep rumble which Artaban could feel in the ground below his feet. Renamin Ratchet's Octobot stepped left and right as the surface shook. The top of the gate began to drop, and Artaban heard the sound of gears grinding as the gate slowly descended into the ground. As the space beyond, lit by glowing red floor lamps, became visible, Artaban's eyes widened. There's only one moon, he said. Of course, Renamin Ratchet said, gazing at the lowering gate while he bobbed up and down on the Octobot. There's only one room inside the core. At least, only one room anyone knows about. The Council holds session here. But where do they keep everything else? Everything else? The Regional Coordinator chuckled. They don't need anything else. The core is the core, just as it is. Artaban was inclined to view this answer as a little cryptic, but before he could ask more, the top of the gate clicked into place in the floors below, and the 2 Guardians stepped into the revealed area beyond. Muttering something under his breath, Renamin Ratchet threw a switch on the Octobot and set off after them, and after one more look at the 2 implacable Guardians behind him, Artaban followed. As they passed the portal, he heard the rumbling sound again. A one-way journey, Renamin Ratchet said quietly, almost too quiet to hear over the sound of the Guardian's booming footsteps and the scraping sound of the Octobot as it scuttled along. But Artaban heard them, and as he saw the brilliant light of Tem from behind him gradually disappearing as they moved along, he was inclined to agree with the sentiment. The gate behind them closed with an echoing crash, but Artaban paid little attention, for they had come, at last, to the center of the core. The roof above them soared to its apex at the top of the pyramid, and through a small aperture at that point, a shaft of golden light stabbed down into the center of the room, where it hit a multifaceted mirror and splintered into 8 parts. Each new beam of light shone out to one of 8 mirrors angled up, and each redirected beam met again in the middle of the room. A pyramid within a pyramid, thought Artaban, and a good way to remind anyone entering the room about where their focus should be. For below the pyramid of light sat 9 chairs in an inverted V, 4 on each side and 1 at the point, and in each chair stood a hooded figure, robed in red and holding a glowing orb on its lap. The Council of Makers, Renamin Ratchet whispered. As the group drew close, the figure at the point of the V stood. The 2 leading Guardians stepped to the side and turned to face each other, while the 2 trailing Guardians stopped as Artaban and Renamin Ratchet, dismounting his Octobot, faced the supreme leaders of Kaldon. There was a long silence. Finally, Renamin Ratchet cleared his throat and took one small, tentative step forward. Renamin Ratchet Maker, I am... Mechanofield's regional coordinator, a gravelly voice intoned. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, but Artemis assumed the standing figure to be the logical source. And there was something else, too. Something familiar about the voice. You are known to the council, Renneman Ratchet. You were summoned, but you were not addressed yet. Renneman Ratchet shut his mouth with a snap. Artebin Drivengear, 3rd Revision, caretaker of the 4th level of the Quadrant Clock, the gravelly voice intoned. I am Artebin Drivengear, Maker, Artebin said, inclining his head respectfully. The council also knows who you are, caretaker, the voice replied. You also were summoned. There was a pause, then finally, do you know why? Artebin opened his mouth in surprise. It had quickly occurred to him that a test of his functionality, or at least his loyalty, would be a reasonable step for his creators to take, and so he replied simply, I assume, Maker, that I am to be punished for leaving my post at the Quadrant Clock without authorization. The standing figure nodded slowly. And why would the Quadrant Clock Coordinator not be responsible for assessing and carrying out that punishment? Artebin hesitated. I assume that my transgression is more severe, Maker. You assume a great deal, Caretaker, the voice said, and Artebin felt the uncertainty and doubt begin to rise again. In fact, the voice went on, you have assumed a great deal for most of your cycles as Caretaker since your activation. According to the Quadrant Clock Coordinator, you spend as much time questioning why something happens as you do actually repairing the defect. Other Caretakers are content to repair, replace, and correct. You require explanations. Artebin blinked but said nothing. The Caretaker's role, the voice went on, is to maintain the perfect operation of the Quadrant Clock. That role is not negotiable, not adjustable, not flexible. And it is the most sacred of tasks any Caledonian can aspire to. When you were activated, you were given the honor of caretaking. It appears you do not appreciate this honor. And if you do not appreciate the honor of your duties, the Council does not see it as advisable for you to continue to neglect them. The voice was silent for a moment before asking, What say you to this? Artebin's mind whirled as Renneman Ratchet stared at him. He had never truly considered the possibility that he would be decommissioned, that he would end his existence here in the core, never again being able to look through his clear shell window on the 4th level of the Quadrant Clock to see the city of Tem laid out in its orderly perfection. Most of all, its beauty, the almost overwhelming brightness, the movement of millions of sweepers, seekers, inventors, guardians, cogs, gears, wheels. What is this? The harsh voice suddenly asked, breaking in on his thoughts. What are you doing? And Artebin realized he had bowed his head and lifted his hands to his face. And though he had not had the need for this function in many cycles, his Mark II mechano goggles were busy cleaning moisture away from the inside of the lenses. Artebin straightened and lowered his hands. I did not wish to offend, he said at last. Perhaps I am indeed different from the other caretakers. I have strived to do my duty as a part of the First Maker's plan. If my fulfillment of that duty is insufficient, then I must be replaced. Now wait, Renneman Ratchet began, but fell silent as the red-robed Maker stepped forward. And what of your two-fold sweeper? The voice asked. And suddenly Artebin realized something about the voice. It also seemed to be coming from right next to him. Reaching up, he detached the restraining band and gently lowered the sweeper onto the floor. It rolled forward to the feet of the Maker, then turned to face the Caretaker. This is our world, it said. But the words came not just from the sweeper, but from the Maker. And Artebin finally realized something else. It is the same voice, he said. It is the voice of the Council, the sweeper and Maker replied. It is the voice of Kalden. And raising one hand as the other held the glowing orb, the Maker pushed back its hood as Artebin stepped back in astonishment. It was the Quadrant Clock's 9th level caretaker, Iridel Socketwheel, 5th Revision, who many cycles ago had gone directly to the core and never come back. First Maker, protect us, Artebin vaguely heard Renneman Ratchet whisper next to him. But his gaze did not waver from Iridel's face, which looked the same as it had... No, not the same. The skin seemed wrinkled, the goggles sunken, the metal around the neck dull and flecked with brown. I seem different, Artebin, Iridel said with a wry smile, still in the same gravelly voice. Older. Decayed. Artebin nodded mutely. But I cannot be decaying, for I am more mechanical than organic, just as you are, Iridel said. When a caretaker is scrapped, it is the inside which has failed. A new revision has made the old model obsolete. But the outside looks more or less the same. Iridel sighed. Yet I am decaying, Artebin. I am decaying just as the caretaker before me was when I was summoned here. Summoned for asking too many questions. He looked down at the sweeper, an almost kind expression passing over his features. In my case, it was a seeker that started it all. I don't understand, Artaban finally managed. I didn't either, Irodel said, smiling again. It's why I ended up here. He looked up at the pyramid of light above him. Haven't you always wondered, he asked, why things work the way they do? Haven't you always wanted to know more about how we first learned to make things, build them, put them together? He looked back at Artaban. Or how we learned things at all? Haven't you ever marveled at the first maker's plan? Or wondered about your own place in it? Yes, Artaban replied simply. Irodel nodded. Your reaction, when I suggested it was your time to be decommissioned and scrapped, told me that already. It was my reaction when I was told the same thing many cycles ago. He lifted his arms, embracing the air. This is a beautiful world in which we live. A beautiful, strange world, with many riddles to answer and secrets to learn. There are many more questions than we could hope to answer, of course, but the true joy lies in the questioning, not the answering. He lowered his arms and smiled at Artaban. But you already know this. It is why you are here. Artaban shook his head, not understanding. Every caretaker, when confronted with a two-folded sweeper which speaks, which cannot speak because it has no vocal mechanism, but speaks nonetheless, does not question why the sweeper speaks. The caretaker scraps the sweeper and requests a new one. The caretaker observes. The caretaker does not question or seek out anything beyond what is necessary to fulfill its role. Except you. And me, many cycles ago, and the ones who came before us. The ones who asked why. Iridel's expression grew serious. There have been many sweepers, and seekers, and other such insignificant machines constructed and sent out by the Council over the cycles, each with a message. Almost all of them have been destroyed immediately by the caretakers. But every once in a while, once in 10 million interactions or more, a caretaker does not destroy the machine. He asks why it is functioning as it is, and hears its message, and seeks out more knowledge. And eventually, that caretaker is summoned before the Council of Makers, as you have been summoned before me. Then all of the other makers are caretakers too? Renneman Ratchet asked. Irodel smiled sadly. At one time, Renneman Ratchet, but that time is past. And he lifted his orb, which flared with light, and the pyramid of light above and the orbs in each of the seated figures' laps flared in answer. 8 hoods flew back, and Artaban and Renneman Ratchet gasped. They were all the faces of caretakers, but all of them were rusted away, all sightless and unmoving. How long? The regional coordinator finally said, voice husky. Many cycles, Irodel replied. Edifast Leverfast, second revision, the one who summoned me, was the last to go, but even he has been gone for a long time. I am all the Council of Makers now. Then the decay is real, Artaban said. The decay is real, and all of Calden will fall before it. No, Irodel said, his smile brightening. The decay is real, but there is hope, Artaban. You are that hope. You, and Renneman Ratchet, and the others like you, whom you will find as I have found you. I had almost given up, you know, he said, leaning down as rusted pistons groaned within the folds of his robe, and picking up the two-folded sweeper with his free hand. I had sent out messengers as Edifas had done, but with no result. I had found none willing to question, and those who will not question even if they fear the answers. Those who will not seek out the truth because they wish to, not because their protocols require them to, are of no use at all.
Bros, and we are making a Patreon page. Alright, so what?
I had almost assumed that there were none left in Tem or on Calden who would think as I did. He gazed at the sweeper, then at Artaban and Renneman Ratchet. But Edifas had told me that hope is the most mysterious, unusual, inscrutable of things, that it is found in the darkest of places, and with neither data, nor evidence, nor logic to sustain it. And he was right, for where Edifas found one questioner in all of Calden, I have found 2. Between you, both, you, Artaban, who will become the new member of the Council of Makers, and you, Renneman Ratchet, who will go forth and seek out answers as Artaban instructs you, you will find more. Perhaps 4, and those 4 will find 8, and those 8, 16. And eventually, the thousands and then millions of questioners will find an answer to the decay. I will not see it, Iredell said, stepping back and sitting down heavily in his seat. But I know it will be seen, and I am grateful. Happy. He laughed, a strange grating noise. A caretaker. Happy. That itself is a most wondrous thing. Another question I would answer if I had time to ask it. He looked at them both. Another question. And with a smile fixed on his face, his goggles dulled. Iredell's socket wheel, 5th revision, bowed his head and never moved again. There was a long, empty silence. Finally, Renamin Ratchet spoke. First Maker, he said in a mixture of awe and sadness. What are we to do? He looked at Artaban as the caretaker walked to Iredell's body and carefully picked up the orb. As he did, the orb flared to life, and the light pyramid overhead glowed and sparkled with energy, vitality, life. He gazed at it a while, then looked back down and carefully picked up the two-folded sweeper with his other hand, watching as the small mechanical body quivered gently in his grasp. Then, with a wide smile, he looked up at the regional coordinator. We are to live, Renamin Ratchet, said Artaban Drivengear, 3rd Revision, member of the Council of Makers. We are to ask questions and find answers. We are to live. The end. Appropriate that that's followed up with a Mega Man, Snake Man theme. The end. Oh man, doing that guy's doing his low voice is kind of painful on the vocal cords. Anyway, thank you, Kilobyte. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was the fulfillment of a Patreon goal, and thank you, McCurious. Yeah, that was a fun one to write. And as I said, you guys came up with the title, or chat did, the Lost Sweeper of Kaldin. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you, Blackberry. My pleasure. And yes, you will get another one of those next month, another one of those short stories. But that means Patreon is completely fulfilled, except for the vote on the game itself, and that'll be the last one. Thanks, JTW. I'm glad you liked it. By the way, just saying, this is available for purchase. If you go over to my website, which you can do by checking out !arvsite. If you go over there to my website, you'll see there's a spot where you can actually go to a store page, basically, and there's links to Time Travel Tales Volume 1, which I have a story in, Time Travel Tales Volume 2, the just-released anthology Heroes, which is out there. There's also a link to When the Villain Comes Home. That's the Press Who's Call that I read last month. That's in there. And stuff like that. So my stuff is available if you were interested. There's a lot of good stuff in here, by the way. This is one of the, it's actually next game, Kilobyte, next game. There's actually, this one was one of the last ones. I think Aaron Alston had one more story in the following anthology, but Aaron Alston, who is a pretty well-known Star Wars writer who recently passed away, this is one of the last anthologies that he ever appeared in. So, and Timothy Zahn is in this, and Mike Stackpole and people like that. So guys are interested, feel free. All right, there you go. So let's take a look at that poll, actually, and let's see where we're at. That poll, again, I'm going to leave up over the weekend, and I'll check it again on Tuesday. Right now, as we speak, Valkyria Chronicle is leading with 8 votes. Sam and Max has got 6 votes, so we got an 8-6 deal going on there. Diablo 2 is fairly big gap behind there with 3. Her Story with 2, and Outland bringing up the rear with 1 vote. So right now, we've got, Valkyria Chronicle just picked up 1. So we got 9-6. That is going to be the game that I will try, whatever wins that by the time we get to Tuesday. So we will see. Sam and Max was the 2nd place winner last month, so it'll be interesting to see if it's 2nd place again. We will find out. Okay, so we're going to do a giveaway and then a raid. So, my pleasure, Ten. So the giveaway is as follows. And again, just a quick reminder, follow all the things. What's up, guys? You always show up just in time, Kais. Makes me wonder. But no, follow all the things if you haven't done so already. And please, again, right there, that Patreon, that's the thing that's really going to help kind of move the channel forward. I want to be able to show the powers that be at Twitch that there's support of this channel. So the more that we can do with that, the better. So again, it's never a requirement. But if you're able to, you can get some nice goodies. You can be part of a Patreon-only draw once a month. You get to be part of I send out a letter to all my patrons at a certain level and above. At the $10 level and above, you get an epic poem written about you as well. You can even get some critiques of your writing at higher levels. So if you're able to support that, that would be enormously helpful. Exclamation point Arv Treon would be the key. Oh, you were there? You just haven't said anything. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm in New York City. Yes, sir. Yes, I am, JTW. There's a few of us. Game Crashers, Cambridge, New York City, Kale Satolbo. There's a few of us who are in the area who are the New York streaming types. Okay, so the giveaway is going to be as follows. And actually, this is going to give me a chance to check quickly because, if I'm not mistaken, let's see, yeah, I want to, before I forget, I want to add, Kilobyte sent me another code for one of the game giveaways, so I want to make sure that I add that and don't forget. Kilobyte, let me, again, thank you, by the way, for that mix, because that's very much appreciated. We tried to give away. We did sort of a game giveaway recently, a game maker giveaway, I should say, but they ended up choosing something else. I forget who it was actually. Might have been, was it Riverdusk? It might have been Riverdusk that won it. But anyway, so thank you very much, Kilobyte. I appreciate it. Just followed Steelers Hype. Nice, nice. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I smashed Anya. Steelers fans always welcome here. So thanks. Okay, so giveaways are as follows. You will have a choice of one of the following 3 games. Choice number 1 is going to come to you courtesy of, let's see, let's make this, these codes are going to be giving up, this code is going to run out soon, so I'm going to try to get this one out. And this one is from Earth Machine. It is SimCity 2000 Special Edition. This one expires July 21st, so this may be the last time I'm going to get a chance to try to give this away. So if you're interested, some people say that's the last good SimCity. So SimCity 2000 Special Edition, that's choice number 1. Choice number 2 comes to you courtesy of Build, and it is They Breathe. Choice number 2 is They Breathe. And choice number 3 is going to come to you courtesy of, let's see, let's make it from Scriptlet, and this is BioShock Triple Pack. So the BioShock Triple Pack, courtesy of Scriptlet. So again, your choices are from Earth Machine, SimCity 2000 Special Edition. That's choice number 1. Choice number 2 from Build is They Breathe, courtesy of Build. They Breathe. And choice number 3, which is courtesy of Scriptlet, BioShock Triple Pack. And the giveaway word for tonight is going to be, let's see. It is Good Old Games code. Let me double check and make sure that that's true. It is SimCity. Yes, it is a Good Old Games code. All right, so if you're interested in winning one of those, please type in the word Radio Hype. And in case you're curious as to why I'm mentioning Radio Hype, it's because I'm going to be on the radio. I'm going to be appearing on 96.5, a radio station called The Answer. On my regular viewer, you guys know Shane Plays. He does a radio show out of Arkansas. He interviewed Chris Perkins last week. Next week, he's interviewing Chris Avallone, the writer of Planescape Torment and other many amazing things. And so I am going to be the tent pole, he said. I am the sort of support structure in between. So I'm going to be on, he's going to have me on as a guest host, and he's going to be interviewing me. That's going to be 2 o'clock Eastern time, and it's going to be, I'm going to have a thing listed on my page, but it's 96.5 in Arkansas called The Answer, and I think it's 965fmanswer.com is what it's like online. You guys can actually call in if you wish to ask questions too. It's like a live radio show, and it's going to be 2 o'clock Eastern this coming Saturday. So again, think about that. Oh, it's only Chris Avallone. Yeah, no big deal. So again, the games on the list are, I know, right? So the list is, hold on, it is SimCity 2000 Special Edition. They Breathe, or... There's that follow. Thank you very much, I Smoshed Anya. Thank you very much for the follow. There it is. SimCity 2000 Special Edition, They Breathe, or BioShock Triple Pack. Those are your 3 choices. And as you guys are looking that up, I'm going to look and see who we're going to raid. Okay, I think I know who we're gonna do. Okay, sounds good. See you, 10. Thanks for stopping by, 10. Oh, hi, Lee. And also, hi, Sod. By the way, Sod, congratulations to your sister. I saw that you mentioned that in chat. I just didn't want to... I was in the midst of the reading, so I didn't want to break the flow. But congratulations, man. That's great. All right, last call, folks. I don't remember what the command is. Oh, there it is. I should have realized. Last call. The current chance of winning the giveaway is 20%. That's the current chance, is 20%. It's pretty good odds. Pretty good odds. Pretty good odds. All right. Oh, I hear you, Kill. It is damn good. It is damn good. Get in on that action. I know. I was a little surprised to see that as well. I mean, I guess, you know, it's a big country, but... Okay. And the winner. Thorg! Hacked. Rigged. Rigged hacks. Mod hacks. Hacks. Thank you very much, Thorg. There's that link to Shane's show, so don't forget to mark that down on your calendars. This Saturday, it's coming up. Rigged hacks. Congratulations, Thorg. What's it gonna be, man? Boom, headshot. What's it gonna be, man? What'd you like? And don't go anywhere, anybody, because we are gonna do a raid as soon as that is finished. I know, right? Seriously, Ghost. BioShock. Yes, BioShock blocks. Indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Okay. So, let me... BioShock triple plot. Triple. BioShock triple plot. Yes. BioShock triple pack. That's the word we're looking for. All right, I'm going to send this directly through Steam. And hang on a second here. All right. BioShock triple plot. So you already own BioShock and BioShock 2. You still want it, Thorg? It's cool. I mean, it's no problem. It'll let me do it. But are you sure you're cool with that? I just want to make sure I know. Yeah, well, if they can get the new Ultima Underworld moving, that might be their next step. Although, I'm just going to be so excited about Ultima Underworld. The new Ultima Underworld, I'll be like, woohoo! So pumped up for that game. Okay. Just making sure. All right, it is on its way to you, sir. Again, that is courtesy of Scriptlet, so you can thank him when you see him. And there we go as I adjust the game list. Excellent. Okay, cool. All right, congratulations, man. So, here is the deal. We are going to do this raid, and that raid is the Arvanauts have landed, followed by... Yeah, I know, it's true. I saw some Shroud of the Avatar, and I was like, I'm a little shaky on. I wasn't that impressed. We'll see. Hopefully it'll be better. Anyway, the Arvanauts have landed, followed by Volcania. Capital V-O-L-C-A-N-I-A is what we're looking at. Capital V-O-L-C-A-N-I-A. Let me get rid of that. Capital V-O-L-C-A-N-I-A. But the key is not to do this until you hear my audio outro. As soon as you hear my audio outro, that's when you're going to run over and drop that like a mighty stream. As for me, again, quick reminder, I'm going to be back at you hopefully some point tomorrow, depends on how travel goes, with Arvbox in tow. If not, then definitely on Saturday, but one of the next couple days I'll be at you as we continue Hand of Fate. Probably another 2 sessions, I would guess, to finish up with Hand of Fate, because I want to finish story mode and then do a little bit of endless mode. I'm not going to do a ton of it, a little bit. And then on to Chrono Trigger, and Chrono Trigger will occupy our attention for a couple of weeks, I would guess, and then when that's done, then we'll either be moving on to, depending on the time, Shadowrun Returns Hong Kong if it's out by then, or we might take a look at Sword Coast Legends depending on when that's coming out, or we might take a look at the second Phoenix Wright game, or if Arkham Knight is available for PC again, maybe we'll do that, or possibly Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishment, we will see, but we will look into that. And of course, the other game that you guys are choosing for me, we'll vote on that next Tuesday, so we'll vote on that a few days from now, give you guys a chance to look at that. Before I sign off and send you guys on the raid, I do want to thank everyone who was here tonight. You guys are the best, so thank you all so much. Thanks, first of all, to my awesome mods. Thank you to Apples. Thank you to Demiser. Look at Demiser lurking there like a boss. Thank you to Thorg, of course. Thank you to my regulars. Thank you to IAK Enforcer, who you should be following naturally. Thank you to Axeman. Thank you to Blackberry Bear. Thank you to Darken Wolf. Thank you to EMC Nasty. Thanks so much to Epidemic. Thanks so much to Ghost SSD. Thanks to Glob Monkey. Thanks to Graydon, another person you should be following. Thanks to Kanumi. Thanks to Kilobyte. Thanks to Kais. Thanks to Lee. Thanks to Mercurius, of course. Thanks to Mosky Bear. Thanks to Roix. Thanks to Shattermage, naturally. Thanks to, let's see, Shot New Zealand, or Shottens. That name sounds vaguely familiar, Shottens. I think you may have followed me before, but if not, welcome in. I hope you liked what you saw and heard and will follow. Of course, Sod, member of the Infinity and Beyond crew, another streamer you guys should be following. And last but certainly not least, West River Rat. And a few of those people, IAK, West River Rat, Epidemic, and some others, are also supporters of the stream. Kilobyte as well. They're supporters of the stream through the Patreon. So thank you so much for that. And also, please do support that if you can. It's going to make a big difference. All right, now we're going to go off to this person, and this person's actually playing a game that is near and dear to my heart. Do not raid again until you hear my audio outro. We're going to go over to Giltonum. Gilt's only got a couple of people watching him right now. He's fun because he does a lot of the retro games, and he's playing Baldur's Gate, and that is good stuff, people. So we're going to go over there and give him some love, but remember, only do it when you hear my audio outro. As for me, that's that. Last stream from my home rig for a while. Now it's going to be all Arvbox over the next couple of weeks, so I will catch you guys in the next couple of days with the next stream. And as I say, next week we're going to have the vote, finish up the vote on that game set, and also a big announcement coming. I am not telling you what it is, but it's going to be a very exciting announcement, I think, for you guys and the channel, but I'll talk about that next week. That's it for me. I'll catch you guys in a couple of days, tomorrow or the next day. Until then, thank you all so much. Love you all. You're the best viewers on Twitch. Please spread the word, follow all the things, support the Patreon, and have a good night.
Fresh and new, when it all seemed clear to you, when your aim was straight and true. Were your mind untroubled by the questions in the dark, content to play your part, open pathways to your heart? Were your life untainted by a host of broken dreams, when all your acts were queens? good the way your life was bound? Did you ever wonder how you got from there to now? Oh, yes, you're gonna fly away from here where the sky grows more clear and your problems disappear. Drift away down below. Watch them go down to your friends where the trouble never ends. And there's always just one more day left to go. Go on and search now through your pile of broken lies and your set of fake goodbyes. Another cynical disguise. When will they catch you? All those little things you said. Will it turn around instead? Blame the voices in your head. With all your subtle language, try and turn your life around. If your center gets unwound, you do your best to slow things down. And if you feel things that you never felt before, things that shook you to your core, a shattered truth you can ignore. Oh, yes, you're gonna fly away from here when the sky grows more clear and your problems disappear. Drift away down below. Watch them go down to your friends where the trouble never ends. And there's always just one more day left to go. And when you've struggled and you keep on falling back, 'cause it's confidence you lack, you try and take a